Yes, Gaurav, within 5 minutes, sir will join.
I have joined, sir. Now I'm
Okay,
ready. Hmm?
okay. Just I will give the introduction and then you can start your session, sir.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
So, on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar, I welcome today's resource person, Dr. H.T. Jadhav, sir. He's a senior academic leader, researcher, and administrator with having 30 years of experience spanning industry, teaching, research, and higher education governance. He holds a PhD in wind, solar, and electric vehicle technology from NIT Surat. He has also completed ME in Power System and from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, and B in Electrical Engineering from Government College of Engineering, Karad. He is also certified energy auditor recognized by Government of India. Also, he has served in multiple academic institutions in diverse capacity, progressing from assistant professor to professor and director. Currently, he is serving as a dean, Faculty of Science and Technology at SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. He is also actively engaged in innovation, incubation, and university industry collaboration, mentoring startups, and strengthening academic and research partnership. So again, on behalf of this entire group, I welcome Dr. H.T. Jadhav, sir, to this afternoon session, and I would now hand over the session to him. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Just give me a moment. Just give me.
Sir, I will take your leave. I am outside. I will take your leave, sir.
Perfect, perfect. If somebody can confirm that the screen is now visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, all. I can see around 71 participants, and my topic, which I have been assigned by the organizer, deals with research and development. Actually, the title you can see on the screen. I hope my voice is also very clear, right? Am I clearly audible? Just if someone can thumbs up. Organizer, if hello,
Yes, sir.
hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
voice
sir.
is also clear. Perfect. So the topic which is assigned is associated with the research and development, research, innovation, roadmap, something like that. And there are not many slides here to discuss for next two sessions. But of course, with the help of the presentation which I have, we will go through the exact way the research culture can be established in the college or university, and it is a kind of an experience over a past 30 years I have got, and different experiments we did to have a research culture in the institutions, and that experience I'm just sharing through handful number of slides. So let me go through. Perfect, perfect. So all participants, I can see the participants are almost from, I would say, various cadres probably or educational background, and they have some doctorate degree completed. Some might be masters or UG, and I assume that the participants are from all different sectors. So before I continue with my presentation, let me mention here that this presentation or this thought process is organized such that you will notice two sides in the presentation. One side will be associated with institution as such. That means if the set of participants consists of academic leaders in the form of principal of a college, or maybe head of the department, or some senior person who is a decision making authority in the institution, then I have something to say here, that how the research culture can be established in institution, department, or maybe in the university. And the second type of participants are likely to be from teaching faculty or PhD scholars. That means these are the important people who are involved in actually taking the actions, whereas principal or the head of the departments, these are the people who are, of course, more important, because they lay down the policies, they facilitate the research work, and they monitor the research work, research activities. So more or less, the senior level mentors, they are facilitators, and they guide the junior level teachers, research scholars, and so on. So this presentation has both sides. That is something I just wanted to mention. Moreover, as all of you know, and we are mostly from teaching paternity, so of course the main role is to take the classes, to deal with the courses, to deal with laboratories, and different type of courses depending upon the credit structure. So we deal with the teaching learning process. However, now if you have read the National Education Policy 2020, then perhaps you would have noticed that NEP 2020 talks about strengthening the academic culture and research culture of the university. Until now, and as far as my experience is concerned, I have been observing that in most of the institutions, most in the sense that I'm not referring to an institutions which are in a top bracket like NIRF ranked institutions or the similar institutions, but I am referring to average institutions where still we notice that the core of their business is simply teaching and learning, and that's all. I mean, they just focus on the courses or the kind of academic activities assigned. They complete the course, and then the assessment takes place. Again, I have been observing in most of the institutions, the focus is still on the paper and pen type of examination, and the delivery is also simply like traditional PPT based, or duster and chalk type of delivery to the students, where hardly any kind of engaging kind of experience, and therefore the educational experience of the student is not as envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020. If you have read the National Education Policy 2020, there are many aspects, like the teaching learning process has to be engaging, inquiry based, and the academic process should focus on holistic development of the students. Holistic development here, it says that the students are expected not only to study the major one specific program or major, I would say. However, the student need to have a knowledge of allied courses also, minor maybe, or some multidisciplinarity has been brought. For example, if some student is from engineering background, then the engineering student is not just expected to study engineering, but the minor may be from other engineering or even non-engineering, And some open elective courses might also be there from commerce background or humanities background, or from even some kind of medical science background. So this kind of interdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity has been brought extensively in the national education policy. There is a reason also that any student, if you consider any undergraduate student particularly, after that student has completed education, such a student is deputed, or that student pursue a career in an organization or an establishment where he or she deals with projects, mostly some kind of project, and these projects are always multidisciplinary in nature. So if a student has only a knowledge of major, naturally such a student uh, fail to complement with the other members in the team. And therefore national education policy talks about multidisciplinarity extensively, and accordingly I think throughout the country the board of studies or the statutory boards have designed a syllabus for undergraduates where the major, minor, or maybe other verticals, even other verticals like physical education have been included in order to ensure that the student has a holistic nature. But apart from that, if you notice national education policy, it has been mentioned categorically that the undergraduate students are also expected to be exposed to undergraduate research. So now the research which was, I mean, which was a part of PhD level study earlier, or maybe master level study, has been brought down to undergraduate level. And if the participants are mostly from Maharashtra, then you might have noticed that the undergraduate programs which were 3 years, they are now 4 years. So the fourth year has been, I mean, the fourth year might be, if a certain institution has a fourth year, for example, bachelor's degree and fourth year program, then fourth year has a two verticals. One vertical is honors degree, but the other vertical is a research degree, honors with research. So research has been now brought to the undergraduate level. So why I am mentioning all these things is that the stakeholders, if you see the slide, this slide has a title, stakeholders in the research ecosystem. There are three types of people who are involved in the ecosystem of research. And of course, when we say a research, then research will have two outcomes primarily in a broad sense. One, the research has created some kind of knowledge, and that knowledge was not existing earlier, and a new knowledge has been created. So that knowledge may get translated into some kind of product, or it can be in the form of publications. So I am sure that participants who are senior professors and they have an extensive experience in research, they are aware that there are a range of publications where the knowledge created is published. The other category also has become very relevant at undergraduate level. In fact, it is not something new I am referring to. There are many premier institutions where the product development has been a part of academic activity long back. The concept of incubation center and all those things are existing in these institutions long back, and the focus of the research is to develop some product or service. I mean, the innovation should lead to a product development. That has been a core of many institutions since a long time. But in NEP 2020, the focus on product development and publication is also more here, and therefore product development and publication, these two important components of research, can be undertaken by three kind of stakeholders, and these are UG and PG students, PhD scholars, and faculty members. I just mentioned that undergraduate research has been, has been included now under NEP 2020 framework, and therefore the research is now also associated with the UG student. Of course, I mentioned PG students; they have got a dissertation at second year level or project or even PG thesis. The different kind of nomenclatures are used in different institutions, and therefore PG people are already engaged in research activity, not to an extent that PhD scholars, but it is there. PhD scholars, of course, they are important ingredients of this research ecosystem. And any PhD scholar, if you consider, then he or she is given some kind of topic, and then the topic is explored further to create a new knowledge in that. And of course, faculty members, mostly they are doctorate people, either they are mentors or they can pursue their own research. And that research might be because these faculty members got some kind of funding from private industry or from some kind of government organization. So the slide which we discuss in detail is the first slide, and intentionally it is introduced in the beginning in order to understand that these are the three important people involved in the research and development. Now, as far as the outline of presentation is concerned, um, I will be talking about the different kind of strategies or action plan or roadmap to have publications achieve research done in general, because unless the research is done, publication is not possible. So naturally, there are some kind of strategies which are expected to be in place in institution, which will create a very conducive atmosphere for these stakeholders to pursue the research, and then followed by product development and publication. And then subsequently, there will be a discussion on, certain kind of, say, uh, ICT based tools which are used for research applications. And most of you are already aware of all these things, like Google Scholar search engine, scholarly publications, and reference manager, and so on. So this is how this particular presentation has been organized. Now, every institution, maybe a college or maybe a university, has been registered with this portal. Perhaps if you talk to your library officer, the library officer might have circulated or shared with you some kind of Google form, and that Google form is having typical fields which you might have filled in, and then your nodal officer, particularly a library officer, might have opened this kind of platform, or might have registered to have a platform for your university. So I'm just, it is a screenshot of that particular portal called Vidwan, which is by government only. And this is a platform where, consolidated details of all the teachers, all the stakeholders of the college or university, they register and their details are available. Why this kind of portal is created? Because as you know that many or all the institutions have mandate to undergo NAC accreditation or an NEB accreditation. So if you consider any of these accreditations, you will notice there are several criteria, and one of the criteria is related with your uh, research. So there are numbers given to the criteria, and of course that under that criteria research, there are many aspects, right? But the research publication is one of the aspects And now the NAC or NBA, they generally allot or give the numbers towards the research by say referring to the information of the institutions available on the portal. So this portal, what you see on the screen, is a portal which institutions have to create, and then it is referred by the government agency, and then NAC or NBA, they take the numbers or marks towards the publication based on the H index. So I assume maybe we can subsequently talk about it. They just check the H index of the institution. So you know the H index is one of the dimension representing the aptitude of the scholar or aptitude of the research aptitude of the institutions or university. So such H index is obtained from this portal by the government agency. And if I am not wrong, recently our university have gone through the accreditation process, and if I'm not wrong, if institution or college has got H index more than 25 or 35, something like that, then all the 4 marks, because it is on the scale of 1, 2, 3, and 4 marks, all the 4 marks are assigned. But if it is less, then accordingly the marks towards this criteria, one of the part of the criteria, might be 1 or 2. And there all the things are taken into account, like the kind of publications, and then the citations, and all those things are considered. And therefore it is very important for all the institutions to consistently engage in the research activity and then disseminate the knowledge through research publications or patent, so that these institutions can have good score in a relevant criteria, which is criteria probably 3, research, consultancy, and extension. That depends. So that is the reason I have included other things, perhaps the um, Google Scholar page of every teacher, or Scopus page of every teacher. These aspects are known to you, and if time permits, we will have discussion on it. One more thing, let me mention here. I'm assuming, I'm aware that the participants are from different backgrounds and they have different academic credentials also. Some might be doctorate, or some are simply masters, or some lower level in the sense that below PhD degrees. But I'm assuming that the participant who is attending this session is a beginner, is a very beginner in the research process. So my intention is to share my learning, my experience with a person who had just started research activity, or who is yet to start the research activity, and who is aspiring to be in the field of research. This is a benchmark I have set, so that accordingly I can present the case which I have with different slides. So those participants who are very well versed with many things may find the presentation or discussion just a repetition. But then yes, I appeal to every individual that we will have fairly at least 30 minutes of question and answer session, because just having a one-way presentation um, sometimes become a very monotonous, and the participants sitting at remote end, and that too in the afternoon session, may find it very monotonous and may disconnect. I mean, they may not stay connected, and I think that is not a good part of such a kind of sessions. So let us all engage, actively participate, and if needed, you can keep posting in the chat window, so that I can read, and I can change the direction of presentation if it is needed to be changed. And if there are certain questions, if I can get, while the presentation is going on, then then literally it will be very much motivating to me also, right? One more thing is that I'm sure that the discussion every individual, at least beginners, will find very useful. Why I'm referring to beginners? Because as you are aware that if you are in a teaching fraternity, then you need to ensure that you are regularly engaged in research activities, you have good number of publications in your credit, then you are also equally paying attention to patent IPR, because once if situation arises, then your profile is decided by the research credentials, and these research credentials are in terms of publication in a good journal. Now there are definitions of good journals, we will see, or you should have IPR in credit, right? At least to me, these are the two important attributes, and the beginners should know that right from the beginning they need to side by side engage in both activities, publication and patenting, so that at later stage the beginners will have a very good profile built, and that profile should help to achieve some other career goals also. Because I have been I've seen that when teacher enter into teaching profession, I'm especially referring to teaching profession, then the teacher remain engaged with only teaching the courses to the students, and assessing the students. So only this much is the work done by the teacher in the beginning, and later on the teacher realize that he or she does not have papers in credit in good journal, neither patents nor the research funded projects, industry projects. So therefore many government opportunities, for example, there is some announcement that young teacher is eligible to apply for conference, international conference outside, and conference this expenditure will be reimbursed by the concerned government agency. But then there are no such a kind of research activities done, and such a teacher fail to leverage or take the benefit of such exposure, national level exposure and international level exposure. So this happens. Therefore I am trying to convince you that if you are a beginner, note it that you are not going to just merely engage yourself in teaching activity, but then you have to equally pay attention to research publications and patent, and accordingly you have to plan your semesters, entire semester. Okay, so here actually this slide is all about pre-incubation phase. But of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, that while I shall be interacting with you through this presentation, my focus will be on both aspects like publication and product development. Why product development I am referring to? Because you know that one of the vision of the government of India is to become Viksit Bharat by 2047. So now see, if country is aspiring to become a Viksit Bharat, developed country by 2047, then there is an urgent need that our students, now we are all teachers, right? And while we teach our students aspire to get good jobs. I mean, like there are campus interviews taking place on campus, off campus. So this kind of culture is already in place where student compete in the campus interview and take the job. However, as you know, and by now you have been using artificial intelligence extensively, right, for last 2 3 years, you must have noticed that lot of automation is taking place through AI. So sometimes we listen or we come to know that now entire program is being developed by AI tools, and therefore the requirement of computer engineering person who has just basic knowledge of computer programming has been finding it difficult to sustain in the competitive environment. So the job market is dramatically shrinking. That is what I am trying to tell you. The technology is rapidly, exponentially growing, and therefore there is a need that our curriculum or our teaching learning process should not just enhance the employability of our student, but also ensure that our students, by the time they graduate, develop a capability to think, to start some kind of enterprise or some kind of venture. So now the focus has shifted merely teaching to the job seeker to the job generator. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that if the institutions have got vision statement, goals, objectives, then there is a need to revise these statements, and there is a need to include entrepreneurship as one of the important vertical in the vision statement, and accordingly the institutions need to write the mission statements and action plans and all those things, so that the students uh, completing their education will not restrict themselves to find jobs which are declining, or say the number is reducing, or new types of jobs. I mean, new kind of expertises are required, and perhaps the curriculum may not be developed at the pace at which the technology is changing. So they have to again do some kind of supplementary study, supplementary knowledge they need to gain, and then they qualify for potential jobs. But again, by that time the technology changes, and then they have to keep on constantly upgrading themselves. On other hand, I just mentioned that if someone gets into entrepreneurship, then there are chances. Of course, that is also very challenging in the sense that technology makes that enterprise to keep upgrading, if it is a product development or maybe a service kind of venture. So there is a need to have a pre-incubation center in the institution. If you remember in the beginning, I mentioned that the talk will be for both kind of participants. Some participants might be academic leaders in the form of principals or HODs, and the other participants are the teachers. So, but then all are a kind of academic leaders from student perspective, because ultimately we have to ensure that the students, who are the important stakeholders in the entire ecosystem, are in a position to further get into research phase, innovation phase, so that more and more enterprises and ventures can come in existence, and then that can complement the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. Now here, the action plan for a few, the pre-incubation phase has been mentioned. So we will go through one by one, and meanwhile, I take a pause for next 1 minute to invite your questions in the chat window, that uh, whether the things discussed I mean, discussed so far are in line with the expectations of the participants or not. My question was that I have a presentation where I'm talking about research, publication, and pre-incubation and incubation, IPR. These things are included, and these are just I mean, superficially level considered here for discussion, and not there's a deep dive into all the aspects. So I assume that the way the presentation is organized is perfect, and there's no any query from the participant side. So let us further go ahead. And if you notice in the middle that there's a need to change the content here, in the sense that there is need to include something beyond what I have included in my presentation, then accordingly we can have changes made while the presentation is in progress. But as I said, the presentation is mostly for a beginner. Sir, is there any chance to patent in English language teaching? Patent in I did not get the question. Is there any chance to patent in English language teaching? Okay. I think the concerned professor seems to be from English department, and the person is referring to IPR aspect for English. Here, when it comes to language, of course, we'll discuss later on also. But when it comes to language, and in language, of course, there's some kind of literary work. I mean, some kind of, I'm as simple as poem. Somebody has poem, or somebody has written a very good book. So naturally, such a kind of content can be protected uh, through a copyright. So for literary work, generally songs are written, poems are written, stories are written, books are written. These kind of innovations are generally protected by having a copyright. So the word patent is something where some kind of innovation leading to product or offering the service. So the word patent is appropriate, but when it is a literary work, generally copyright is done. This is, I can in short answer. If it is fine, I think we can continue, or other participants can add to the answer which I gave, where the question is whether the English language teaching can qualify for patenting or not. If I'm not wrong, I have understood that way. Well, I was referring to the action plan for a pre-incubation. So this particular plan I have written, this is an experience of we all people. We implemented a pre-incubation phase at our institution, and then it gave a very wonderful result. So I appeal to every participant here to have this concept implemented in your institution also, because uh, we generally come across the word incubation center. So incubation center is a kind of facility provided by the organization, and incubation centers are university led incubation centers, or the incubation centers are private incubation centers also. So these incubation centers are the places where newly started startup can be nurtured. So I assume that every participant here is aware of the term called startup. Something, a small, venture someone has started, some product someone has started, and it is generating the revenue. So such a small startup need a further support, and that support can be provided in incubation center. The word incubation has come from medical science, where newly born baby sometimes find it difficult to respond to the atmosphere because of poor development of that baby, and that baby is kept in incubator for some time, some months. By the time that baby gets those qualities, capabilities to survive in the normal atmosphere. So recently started venture, small startup, may not be mature enough to sustain on its own. In that case, additional support is given by the incubation centers. If you are an organization, perhaps you might have a small incubation center, or if you are university, then you might have a very big incubation center in your university, where the newly started startups register themselves, and then they receive lot of support from the incubation center. But for that purpose, they have to pay the fees also, as you know. And by paying the fees, they can get the small office there, meeting room there, internet service, computer access, and then very important is that the this startups get mentorship from other entrepreneurs, because that incubation center facilitates all sort of mentoring which is required for this newly started startup. So startups are generally nurtured in incubation center. But the problem of our institutions, if you are from some college or university, then your problem and my problem is that how to create a small startup. I mean, how our student can become a small venture. And once they become venture, then I mean, they are a small company in that case. And such a small company get into incubation center where they get a funding. So in order to make them qualified or eligible to seek the funding, we have to convert our student projects, student ideas, student innovations into small startup. And that journey is challenging, because I mentioned just now that we all are a teacher and we remain engaged in teaching learning process simply, or some courses which are given to us, which we deal with these courses throughout a semester. And sometimes we may not find time to mentor certain venture or student driven innovation which can be converted into, say, incubation space. So how to develop a design a small ecosystem in your college or in your university, so that uh, a new idea or some groundbreaking idea of the students can be converted into small startup. So you see, there are 8 point. This is an 8 point action plan which is proposed, and we will discuss about these 8 point action plan one by one. And then in a subsequent slides, of course, we will talk about research related, academic research writing, what are the tools. Those things will also follow after these slides, in order that the participants will have a complete idea about research and innovation for which the session is planned. So the first and foremost is, now see, you are a teacher in a undergraduate or postgraduate college, because PhD students are generally assigned to professor who hold, I mean, professor, associate professor, assistant professor who hold a PhD degree. And generally these are 3 4 PhD scholars, or maybe 8 scholars depending upon the cadre or designation rather. 8 scholars are there, and these PhD scholars, they work independently as a part-time or full-time, and they pursue their research. So that is one aspect of pursuing research in the university or college establishment. But then most of the crowd which we associate ourselves with are in the form of undergraduate and postgraduate students. Even in postgraduate case, it is quite possible to have some postgraduate student identified who is having potential idea, and that student with a potential idea can get into pre-incubation phase, and subsequently that student who is under your guidance and under pre-incubation phase may become a small startup by the time postgraduate degree is completed, and then a good enterprise is possible for that student, and who can be further nurtured in your university or college incubation center or private incubation center. That depends on the fund availability and other aspects, of course. But then I have to mention here that there are chances that you might be associated with undergraduates also. Even though these students with 12th standard degree completed or 12th standard completed, these students come with lot of ideas, by virtue of their surrounding or by virtue of their association with good network. So in that case, here the teacher, head of the department, need to identify a mentor. I mean, if you are head of the department or principal of the college, it is very essential that you need to identify mentor first of all for such a student who is carrying potential idea, or group of student carrying idea. Then I strongly recommend to all the colleges and all the universities to identify a patent attorney. See, this is very important. Patent attorney, I would say IPR related attorney. One of the activity by that person might be to help file the patent or to support for copyright, trademark. These are different kind of ideas. But patent is mostly very relevant when it comes to product or service. So identification of just we in a college, there are professor, principal, HODs. It is a time that every university need to have a patent attorney appointed. Appointed in sense that person is not a full time. It's a some kind of firm, and that firm is having now some MOU with the college, your college, and then there are certain financials also involved. For example, if you have identified some patent attorney, then for submitting IPR, that particular patent attorney will help to submit patent for that innovator, and certain fee will be charged by that attorney apart from the government fee for the patent. So I'm in short saying that patent attorney need to be identified by the college or university in the ecosystem of pre-incubation center. Then that idea which was identified uh, should be compared with the other ideas for which the patent is already filed. So here, just like, see, the research paper, when someone decides to do a research, the topic is identified by that person, and then after the topic is identified, the person does lot of literature review before directly getting into research phase. Similar to that, patent search is done in order to identify or in order to ensure that there is no similar innovation which the student has proposed exists currently. So once all these things are done, then submission of provisional patent, or there may be a full specification patent. I am assuming that the participants have at least basic idea about what is patenting, what is provisional patent, what is the design patent, utility patent. If you are not aware, then I have a request that you need to educate yourself. If you are a teacher, it has become very essential for every teacher to know what is IPR, what are the different IPRs like patent, copyright, trademark, for which the innovator, submit the application. So even if someone is from humanities, commerce, or sciences, technology, pharmacy, every person is expected to know about the IPR related matter, even though you are not related with that domain, because you are simply a teacher dealing with certain course or subject. So submission of provisional patent for that innovation is very essential. It may be provisional or so. Remember, I'm just giving you an action plan for the pre-incubation phase. Okay, and this is very relevant. I would have started my presentation by simply saying that how to do research, a typical research writing, and different tools used to write the academic writing. All those things we'll discuss later on. But then now, since the as I mentioned that we have to go beyond this academic research, and it's a time to think about product development, IPR, startups, and all those things, irrespective of the kind of the education you deal with, right? Even if someone is from humanities, there are equally chances that the student may aspire to have a small venture, which may be a service, simply service, because there is no product as such to be developed here. So in that case, an ecosystem needed should be made available around the student or in the institutions to nurture that innovation, converting it into the successful potential startup. Mentoring is very important, and those who do not have that provisional patent filed, sometimes idea is there but idea is not still qualifying for potential provisional patent, then extensive mentoring. Now see here, the institution need to reserve some funds for identifying potential mentors. The institutions need to create an ecosystem where the training is provided to the innovators and if need arises, teachers. There are many foundations. One of the foundation I can mention here and you can note down, it's the Wadhwani Foundation. You can Google their Wadhwani Foundation, and this is a probably Bangalore based foundation. And if you can approach to this Wadhwani Foundation, then they facilitate free training to your teachers regarding design thinking, innovation, and venture creation, and all these things. So the direction, or as I told you, the vision statement of every institution should include entrepreneurship. So one of the action the institution, one of the step the institution can take is to take the advantage of certain foundations who are available to offer free knowledge to the students and teachers, so that more and more innovations and venture creations are possible. So mentoring can come from within the institution by the senior professors, or outside foundations can be identified for training. This helps the student innovators to improve their innovation, and then they may become eligible for provisional patenting or full-blown patent. So these things are very essential as far as research ecosystem of every university or college is concerned. And this is the need of the our also, right? I can make a statement here that currently the developed countries have a many incubation centers. I don't remember exactly, but 5 years before, the total number of incubation centers in our country were less than 1,000, whereas nearby China and other developed countries have several thousand incubation centers. And in those several thousand incubation centers, the undergraduate, postgraduate, or any innovator, is nurtured. And these incubation centers, they convert these innovators into successful startups. And therefore, the industrialized countries have come up with lot of products which are then made available to the other countries at a low cost. But the other factors are involved. I will not discuss much here. See, in the research ecosystem, there are certain terms used, and these terms every teacher should be acquainted, well versed with. And these are, for example, proof of concept. So this term proof of concept is there, where the idea is just in the form of some kind of concept, but there's a proof of that concept or innovation. Or prototype, certain innovation may be in the form of working prototype, which may not look like a commercial product, but fairly that product prototype serve the purpose of the users or beneficiary, or it solve the pressing point of the people. So these POCs or prototypes are to be nurtured further into makers space or outsourcing fabrication. See, what happens is sometimes your institution may invest into some makers space where these prototypes are further developed by the innovators. And for that, the entire mentoring support is provided from within the institution or outside institution, or sometimes through a network. See, I will add here one aspect which everyone will appreciate, that if you go to any college or any university, then you will find a classroom with a smart boards and everything. You will find laboratories. You will find other similar kind of auditoriums, okay, where the seminar workshops are, organized. But now it is a time that apart from these three, that is lecture room, laboratory, auditorium, seminar hall, there is something called incubation center. So there is a need that every college, however small is, every university need to have an incubation center, and that incubation center may be initially self-sustained. And once there are certain successful case studies, the such a incubation center can apply to the funding. I should mention here that Niti Aayog is one of the organization under ministry, and the Niti Aayog is given a responsibility to mobilize fund to the incubation centers, or rather to mobilize the fund to the startups through nodal agencies, incubation centers by the university or incubation centers by the colleges. So here what I'm trying to tell you is that incubation centers might have some kind of maker spaces where the prototype of innovator is nurtured, or that incubation center can form a big network. Okay, and in that network, many people in that network can help that innovator to develop a prototype, because facility may not be available in the university or college, and that may be required to be outsourced. So in the pre-incubation phase, the fifth point is very important because it leads to actual product development, which will be further tested. So incubation center, say I have used the word pre-incubation phase. Why I have used pre-incubation? Because in incubation center, startups are nurtured. But I told you, if you remember my words, that teachers or the college authorities need to create an ecosystem where the new idea is mentored and converted into small startup, and then that startup can further get into incubation center to seek the funding. Because as big as 5 crore funding is offered through MSME and other similar kind of funding agencies. So this kind of this funding available in the incubation center can further be passed to the startups. So pre-incubation becomes a very important concept in the college or university to convert ideas to startup, and then startups enter into incubation center and then exit the incubation center as a successful business. That is the journey of a student, right from a student phase to pre-incubity, then incubity, and then successful business. So this is possible by having a very well structured pre-incubation phase uh, facilitated in the college. I think I mentioned about startup registration, final patent, all these things. See, innovation Mahakumbh, there are many at center level, state level, innovation Mahakumbhs are, startup competitions are organized. So now it is a time that our students, even right now also, uh, if most of the participants are from Maharashtra, then you must be knowing that at Krishi Vidyapit Parbhani, there is Avishkar which is being organized. Okay. And this Avishkar is again a competition, a platform for innovators, the young innovators, where they present their innovative ideas before the reviewers, and they may attract good investors in those kind of uh, organizes sorry, in the competitions. So the whole idea of pre-incubation is to take the premature idea into full-blown business through different phases. So I think I should take a pause for 1 minute. I have a question. Under NEP, we need to focus on critical thinking. How did today's lecture challenge the students to think critically rather than just take a notes and encouraging with the research? This is very good question in the chat box written by some participants that how did today's lecture? Yes, I think there is one of the slide, and in that slide, I think the last slide probably, in that slide, I will be able to answer this question very well, and I am sure that you will appreciate that slide, wherein I'll be answering this question that how to have a kind of lesson plan rather designed by the teacher, which will ensure that the student will have higher order thinking skills instilled through lesson plan or delivery and assessment. So surely we'll take up this. But even see that part we will discuss surely in the last phase. Perhaps that part I should have covered earlier, and then I would have entered into this slide. But still, I strongly feel that I started with the concept of pre-incubation under the assumption that now NEP 2020 has been implemented in most of the institutions from 24-25, or sorry, 23-25, 24 also academic. And then the students are either in a second year or third year probably, or they'll be completing third year by these things. And they'll be entering into this, fourth year, which may be research phase. And my focus was that now since they're entering into the research phase shortly in 26-27, and there is still one semester available, so participants may take a message after this session to the institutions that we need to have a concept of pre-incubation phase. Even if you do some Google Scholar search, uh, I'll show you that, will demonstrate you how to do a Google Scholar search. And if you include the pre-incubation word in the Google Scholar search, and you will notice that this concept has been extensively implemented in the universities in the developed nation, where the focus is on pre-incubation phase, which is one of the important aspect of the research activity. Of course, before research is possible, critical thinking is very essential, because if the student fail to think critically, right, then innovation will never come up. And you please keep posting such questions in between, which will help me keep myself on a right track. Fine. But I am not happy because only one participant has posted. I request every individual kindly post one question at least per person. That will perhaps compel me to change the track if needed. Otherwise, I assume that whatever I'm doing is perfect, and there may be disconnect or at other end. Fine. So from this slide, the message is very clear that every institution, every college need to have one laboratory, which is a pre-incubation laboratory or a pre-incubator, something pre-incubation. And in that particular laboratory, uh, there is a requirement of some kind of makers spaces, and then mentors are needed, and then my mentors can be within the institutions and outside the institution. Small office is needed, and that will facilitate the pre-incubation phase for the students. So idea to start up through pre-incubation is the main thought process behind this slide. Fine. If still any question are there based on pre-incubation, I'll be very happy to receive the questions based on pre-incubation, because if the things are not in order, the questions are expected, and that question can help me answer better. We'll go to the student side, as the question was there about in inculcating the research aptitude or critical thinking aptitude among the students. Now moving further, the second slide. Second slide is all about action plan for faculty members for publication. Okay. So now here this slide has got 4 points, but we will elaborate it very fully. And the previous question which I just read, perhaps the fourth bullet will answer this question, or fourth point will answer this question. But before we reach to the fourth point, let us talk about uh, other other things. 1 minute. Here I mean to say research fund actually, or it's a simply a seed funding. Perfect. So now, as I mentioned in the first slide only, there are three stakeholders in the research and development. So the one about undergraduate and postgraduate student, will see about that. The second was PhD scholar, and third was a faculty member. PhD scholar, by virtue of nature of the coursework or the kind of education PhD scholar takes, research becomes a mandatory part. So will not focus on that, the requirement or the mandate on the part of research scholar. It is implied. But the faculty generally, as I mentioned, once we get into teaching field, our focus is on teaching learning process, and therefore the research sometimes lack here. But of course, if you are guiding the master students and PhD students, naturally you are engaged in research while guiding, and then publications are possible. Here the role becomes a supervisory role, where the research is done by the students, and then the guide or supervisor has to see to it that the research is leading to knowledge creation. So as far as the institutions are concerned, the institutions need to create a culture in the institute so that the research will grow. The conducive atmosphere is needed. This is something not new I am referring to. Every participant is aware of the fact that if the institution provides good research atmosphere, naturally the research takes place. So what the point number one mention about is that the institution need to allocate research fund or seed fund for the faculty members as well as students. So here what can be done, because see, I mean, there are different kind of institutions. Some institutions are private, where it is very easy. In the case of private institutions, it is very easy. Or if the institutions receives lot of fees, scholarships from the students, but they are government institutions, but they have enough fees received. Because in the case of government institutions, suppose the salaries are coming from the concerned government, the fund which will be available with the institution will be in the form of student fees. There are chances that um, the institution teacher may collaborate with nearby industry and may attract the fund for research activities. I think I have written this in a point number 2, where uh, a teacher can write a very good, I mean, see here, very important, and it is my experience also. Teacher need to come out of the comfort zone, and then they need to network with the other entities, particularly an organization which are looking for some collaboration so that a joint research can be done. I am from an engineering background, and naturally, uh, uh, my way of fetching the risk, this fund, is to collaborate with industries and then holding the discussion with the industry owner about knowing about the research or the technical problem they have got right now. Because see, every industry may not have R&D department, and there is a gap here. So such a industry without R&D department generally outsource their problems to the other organizations, and universities are the best places where such an idea can be further explored. So networking with establishments, private establishment I'm referring to, or industries is a good idea. Even in non-engineering domain also it is equally possible, but then the institution need to have that ambition, that particular aspiration to network, to get good problems from the industry, and then that problem can be solved by a group of students on the campus or a group of teachers. So that is one way of seeking the fund. However, if not possible, I just mentioned that small revenue generated by the institutions in the form of tuition fees of the students can be allocated and can be given to the teachers as a seed fund money. Again, here in that college, or if it is a university, no doubt there is a very good ecosystem generally available in the university, where dean of research is there, research and development cell is there, and through that research and development cell or dean of faculty, the seed funds are mobilized to the aspiring researchers who are in the form of mostly teachers or maybe students in private universities also. But when it comes to college, there are chances that the research and development dean does not exist. I mean, there's no concept of dean research and development. A coordinator research and development might be there. So such a coordinator need to be appointed. A small team has to be formed, and that research and development coordinator need to ensure that there is enough seed funding, and that R&D cell should invite proposals from the teachers and students, and then these are scrutinized, filtered, and then the seed fund money can be given. Here, while the seed funding is given, of course it has to have a very good SOP, standard operating procedure, that for what purpose the funds are being given. Because I have seen that sometimes teacher apply for seed funding, college seed funding, and purchase laptops and tablets and such a things which are not relevant to the research. Computational facilities are generally available in the university in the form of computer lab, and sometimes some few things are never needed, and those things I mean should not be permitted to the researchers. So optimally the research fund or seed fund may be allocated particularly for consumables, because while the person is pursuing the research, there is a need of some purchase of consumable material or small travel depending upon the kind of research pursuing. Maybe some interviews are to be conducted with a research team, or maybe some kind of people, so travel is needed. So a kind of SOP here, very important, is the institution should develop a standard operating procedure to mobilize the seed funding money, and then there should be a mandate to the teacher that the fund has to be utilized within 1 year or 2 year, and that should lead to Q1, Q2 and patent. I mean, if the teacher has taken seed money and produced Q1 and Q2 type of journal papers, I mean, see, these are the indices of journals, that Q1 type of, Q2 type of paper, all high quality journals which falls under this category, Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. There are H indices. There's the impact factor. Impact factor, I don't know, because every low profile journal mention that they have a 10H index, this one impact factor. So impact factor is sometimes misleading, and I don't think that journals are recognized in terms of impact factor in anywhere in accreditation agencies particularly. So some incentives to be given to the researcher if good publications are generated out of out of the seed funding given, or IPR patents are generated out of it. So first very important point I am mentioning out of my experience is uh, a facility of seed funding is very essential to have a research culture in the institution, and the amount has to be properly mobilized through research and development cell. So if a proper governance model is put up in a place, then the amount can be utilized for good kind of research, leading to even some kind of startups are possible, ventures are possible out of such a research done by faculty or by a student. So this is very important aspect, and it's one of the action plan for the institution, in order to enhance the research this one culture. Training on research proposal writing, right? This is very insane. I just mentioned that every institution must have, irrespective whether it is a university or whether it is a college, need to have research and development cell. And that research, I think some colleges might not have research and development cell as such, but there might be IQAC. See, IQAC is a very, very important, cell, because IQAC, if it is having a senior members, good academic leaders, then they can come out with very good strategies, policies for strengthening the research culture as well as for strengthening the academic culture. Someone mentioned about critical thinking. It is a role of IQAC to design the formats to ensure that the students are learning corresponding to higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy, right? Assessment is done by the teacher considering the action verbs corresponding to the last 4 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So those, these aspects can be very well fulfilled through IQSC. So if IQSC is fine, if it is a research and development, then it is also fine. Uh, then I was referring to a training part. R&D or IQSC should facilitate extensive training to the teachers. This is something in my career I have observed that, of course, I am not referring to those premier institutions where all these things are very well in place, but majority of the institutions might not have a facility to train, or might not have a culture of regularly training the teachers for writing the research proposal. Why the research proposal training is needed? Because there are frequent announcements from the government about, proposals are invited from the teachers to do research on so and so. So now, if proper training is given to the teachers, naturally the entire proposal can be very appealing. It can have a better visibility, or it can have better clarity, because these funding agencies, when they invite a proposal, then throughout the country, several teacher, they write a proposal, several, for example, if there are only 25 proposals are shortlisted, they receive probably 2000, and then scrutiny may be very difficult, and scrutiny team may not be so big to go through each and every proposal carefully. So the proposal title should be from thrust area, and objectives, and methodology, and all these things should be very appealing to the scrutiny member. Then and then such a proposals are shortlisted. Just submitting proposal may not guarantee that your research proposal is accepted. So there is a need to, of course, nowadays the knowledge is extensively available in a social media through YouTube, and many video recordings are available about how to write research proposal and all those things. But still, if there is a workshop or training program planned in the institutions, then it is very much possible that that the aptitude of researcher may be improved, and the possibility of fetching the research fund will be more in that case, because a trained person can write a proposal very well. Then now here the third point refers to training. I mean, see, the role of IQAC or the role of research and development cell is to facilitate regular training, not once in a year, but every 2 months training. Nowadays, the Zoom platform is available, Google Meet is available. The institution can hold weekly or at least fortnightly or monthly sessions by different experts, and teachers are given enough idea about how to write a very winning research paper, right? Because now, after the artificial intelligence has entered, okay, GPT and all platforms are available, the research activities have become very simple for the researcher. But now journal publishing agencies, they also know that researcher might use artificial intelligence platform to create a knowledge, and that may be GPT generated knowledge, may not be validated knowledge. So those publishing agencies are also reviewing the research articles very stringently, very carefully before putting them online. So there are challenges and opportunities here. Both things are there. And therefore, under this situation, when AI has entered massively, there is a need to give research paper writing training to the teachers and students and scholars, so that the publications are in Q1 and Q2 category journals, because these are the good quality journals and they are appreciated much better in NIRF ranking process as well as in accreditation processes. So training on these fronts are also needed. And I think here comes the last point of this slide, where this is about education research. If I have yes, I think I can talk to the education research in this slide. But then, for the sake of completeness, uh, fourth point is all about workshops and training for teachers for continuous comprehensive evaluation. I am not aware of the fact that in your college or in your university, how much assessment of student is an internal assessment. And my focus here is the UG and PG students. So if you deal with UG and PG students, naturally, there are some kind of grades given to internal assessment where student does the activity. See, assessment, as you know, there are two types of assessments. One assessment is in the form of paper and pen examination, where the teacher is hand over the question paper to the students and student reproduce what was remembered last night, and then that is done. So this is a kind of assessment which is very common and popular in our education process. But unfortunately, the learning of student is not properly evaluated unless the teacher has created a question paper which correspond or which maps with or which evaluates the higher order thinking skills of the students. So designing such a question paper itself is a challenging. Here there is a workshop needed, training needed for a teacher, that how to design a question paper. That question paper will address the higher order thinking skills. I think it's very relevant at this stage to mention that there are program outcomes written, because you have been doing NAC. I mean, you have experience of undergoing a NAC accreditation process, or maybe if you are from engineering fraternity or maybe polytechnic or pharmacy institutions, you must have an experience that when NAC NBA committee comes, the NBA committee asks for course file, right? and that course file of a teacher should contain old question paper and how that question paper was, I mean, how the answer books were evaluated, whether all the course outcomes, particularly whether course outcomes attainment calculation is done or not. That is generally seen. So these attainment calculations are challenging. Of course, I am unaware if you are doing these things, then and therefore here our training is needed for teachers, that how to evaluate the students considering the course outcomes. And of course, you are a head of the department. Suppose for a specific batch, you collect the course attainment calculations of all teachers, and then you calculate program outcome attainment calculations. So just hold on. Just give me a minute. I am in meeting. I'll call you later on. So I was referring to workshop training program for teachers to help them know how to do internal evaluation. And if proper training is given that how to do internal evaluation, then this internal evaluation of students can lead to education research. See, there is a kind of research where the teacher is doing education research, because the whole idea is that the teacher is expected to do research, either the research in the core domain or the research in education. So if it is in core domain, it may lead to IPR and product development. If it is educational research, it may lead to publications mostly, or maybe depending upon the kind of educational research, it may qualify for some kind of IPR also. So these are the different, activities the institutions, or important aspects the institutions need to consider, particularly research and development cell or IQAC, to establish a very good strong research culture through training process, or through giving a seed fund or research fund. So I think I should take a pause for a minute for this slide. If it has appealed you, then fine. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next slide. And I'll be coming to the question about students' critical thinking in a next slide, perhaps. There are many participants, it seems to me. At least now 65 participants are left. Initially there were many, but 65 is good number. And if you are seriously attending this session, perhaps you must have many questions now in your mind. Since I told you about pre-incubation concept, then I just mentioned about the kind of ecosystem needed, which will surely make it possible to have good research culture leading to research papers and publications. So out of 65 participants, if you are connected, I invite one or two questions at this stage. Yes, of course, there's one more research possible for me. I can write a very good journal paper now. And my research paper could be that conducting online research through MMTTC, and see the impact of my training on the learning of participants. So if my participants are learning or not through online mode, becomes a research question for me. So even if you people are engaged in conducting some kind of workshops, then the effectiveness of workshop can be studied by knowing to what extent the participants are benefited, what the participants have done post the workshop. That means if I track you for next 1 month, that what you did after the attending this workshop. Just you attended and forget, we took a certificate, walked away. Is it the case, or really the knowledge which was shared during this session helped the participant to get new dimension, and that new dimension helped to further do some kind of research activity which got translated into good papers, and otherwise it got translated into good IPRs, or it could help you to mentor students for good startup. If out of these three things nothing has done by the teacher, that means there was a waste of time by teacher and there was a waste of time by you people. So I have questions. Very nice presentation, thank you so much. But can you explain whether institutional repute play a role in fetching grant from organization? No, this is very good question asked by you. In fact, institution reputation does not make much difference, although it has little to do with. But see, when you write a very good research proposal, then see, you need to have a strong research credentials. For example, if you are from, say, a science faculty, for example, and you have written a very good research proposal to science and technology department, for example, DST, then they will check what you have done earlier. Are you simply writing a proposal when you do not have past research experience? You are just a beginner and you do not have any experience of doing research. If they notice that your profile is a completely blank, then they will not trust you. They will not take a risk by giving you money. So government agency will give you money for research if you prove your credibility in your proposal. So you have wonderful proposal written and you are solving perhaps a very appealing and very timely question of the society or industry, and it is also appealing. Then it is very important for you to ensure that you have done something earlier related to that research. For example, you are asking to do research in X area, and to do a research in X area you are asking for some money, then you should have a publication or some kind of patent in that X area only. So they will match, yes, this gentleman has done, or this lady has done enough research in the same area, and that person is now taking that innovation to the next level, and for that purpose the person requires a fund. Surely your proposal will win. So you have written previously funding yes, I'm not saying, yes, they will ask you previous funding projects, no doubt. But there are two scenarios. If you have previous funds in your credit, and if you have utilized previous funds successfully, and you have submitted the project with some outcomes, for example, publications, IPR, and you are asking for second fund, you will surely get it. But if you do not have a previous project done, I mean, you have not done previously any funded project, then at least you need to have some kind of academic research work done. That means if for publication you don't bring money. Let me clear one thing here, and I'll probably talk in the subsequent slide also, that to publish in a refereed journal, for example, the journals under One Nation One Subscription Scheme, I assume you know ONOS. There are almost 30 publishers under One Nation One Subscription Scheme, which is of Government of India. And your library, if government library, government supported library, then you can freely refer all those journals. And if you have a very good publication papers in those journals under One Nation One Subscription, then you don't need a single money. There is a misconception among the people that you need article processing charges to publish in a research paper in journal. Absolutely no single penny is needed to publish paper in journal. No single rupee, single paisa rather. All that you need is to have a strong research done and very good research article published in good. Then these journal agencies under One Nation One Subscription, they are ready to publish your research credentials, research paper rather. So if you do not have experience of previous funds received, then you should have a very good, at least very good publications in your credit in good journal. In that case, your proposal will be surely shortlisted for presentation. And by chance, if you have few IPR is a capital intensive. I know for patent you need some money, but your college has facilitated some seed funding for patenting or IPR, then it is a win-win situation for your college and for you, and that can help you for bringing more funds. I think I answered this question. Are there any options for research scholars and contractual teaching faculties to get grant from research project? I think, see, there are many now. It is, I think, Anusandhan Research Fund, ANRF. So if you just explore on the internet different funding agencies, surely you will find there are many funding agencies which offer research fund to the PhD scholars. Okay, and if you are a contractual teacher, there's no problem, and as long as your college has endorsed you that he is a full-time or part-time faculty, there is there is some kind of concern sometimes that a faculty is required to be full-time because the money is given to the institution, and institution is entrusted. So if the faculty is a contractual, then there may be a concern because the contractual faculty may leave the college in the middle, and that money may not be utilized, unlike the full-time faculty. So there may be a concern about contractual faculty, teaching faculty. But here my message to the contractual faculty is, by the time you become a regular teacher, and in order to become a regular teacher, you need to strengthen your research profile. And for strengthening research profile, perhaps you may not need large funds if your institution has got good laboratories, and you can work on certain research assignments which does not require more funds. Building a strong research profile can help you become a teacher and subsequently regular teacher, and subsequently it can lead to more better prospectus. So I hope I answered the question. Okay, it's a very big question asked here. Many organizations are hiring faculty without having this. See, now I cannot comment on certain institutions in what way they recruit the faculty, because that is their lookout. My presentation is, related to a fact that how a teacher and how institutions can have an ecosystem where research can be nurtured. If you are an individual with a concern, but see, no one stops you to do the research, at least academic research. You may be a temporary teacher, you may be a full-time teacher, but then if you have good research work done by good literature review and through your efforts and your networking, then no one will stop you for at least publications. IPR, for IPR, of course you need a fund, but I cannot comment here how the, yes, publish or perish in the academic, it is fact. If you do not publish, and if you appear for good opportunity, for example, you are working there for 10 years on contractual basis, and suddenly one opportunity comes which is very promising, and maybe good regular, very good organization, maybe very good private organization. There are many good private organizations, and there are many good government organizations, and many private organizations which are very good, have a very good brand. They look for the publications, they don't see other aspects. So if you have strengthened your profile over a period of time while you are a teacher in any kind of institution, then you can switch to the better institutions later once you build your profile, and then you can even further enhance your research profile. So I don't know what exactly I fail to understand how this is going to work. Then later comes problems. They ask for, so who is stopping you to publish in Scopus Index Journal? I have an experience, as I mentioned, that I'm a student. I'm from an engineering background, and I have guided many BTech students, undergraduate students, who have published into referred journal in a subscription mode without paying a single penny. So academic research can always be published without any investment, and no one can stop you. And sometimes many academic research activities does not require more fund also. Even though I have mentioned about fund, seed fund, I'm referring to situation where there are a lot of equipment needed, or consumables are needed, lot of travel is done, and therefore a seed fund is needed from the institution. But if your institution is not providing you seed fund, even then I have, and you must have seen that many teacher work in the available resources, whatever resources available, and then they come out with their innovation in the form of publications. So I don't think that there is a big deal to publish in a Scopus or Q1 Q2 journal, even though there is no enough funding available, and there are evidences also. Hope I have answered your question. So if this is done, then we can just move on to the next slide. I don't know whether I already spoke about this slide or not, but as we move, perhaps we can have more action plan for students or product development. Actually, I mentioned in the beginning only that how students can, and of course there is a one more slide, action plan for research students, and then academic writing. See, 3-4 slides are there, but these slides should help beginners particularly to be very active in research activities through student research either or through own research. Now, action plan for product development. So this is very relevant when it comes to a kind of vision where the institution is looking for product development and then ventures and startups. Because I mentioned in the beginning that those colleges which do not have a culture of product development will not survive longer, because uh, students are looking for platforms where they learn something beyond the old practices. Someone mentioned the word critical thinking. So critical thinking is something that comes by practice. Of course, you know, the teacher can design a very good lesson plan, deliver in the classroom, and do the assessment where the critical thinking aspect is enhanced. But it can be even better enhanced if the student is engaged in a project activities. So there is concept called learn by doing. If you are associated with education research, you must have heard this term, learn by doing, experiential learning. So students need to be given that experience. Student cannot learn sitting in the classroom. You cannot make student learn in the sit in the classroom and bombard the PPTs and expect that now they have become a critical thinker. They can evaluate the multiple solutions. They can design good solutions for society and industries with low cost. Don't expect that will not happen. If the students are expected to be critical thinkers, then the teacher need to take an effort such that they are exposed to experiential learning. Experiential learning, product development, these are all synonymously. I mean, slight difference is there. Here in product development, the student is given an assignment to develop certain product, and an experiential learning where perhaps I can give an example of on the job training. Now, the National Education Policy 2020 mentions that extensive internships and OJT in certain settings. For example, now I did my engineering where right from first year industry internship was a compulsory. Laboratories, industry visit, extensive experiential learning is a part of engineering studies. Whereas other traditional programs have extensive classroom sitting. The students sit in the classroom throughout a week. and then it is very difficult to inculcate the qualities needed or required in the industries, and there is a skill gap. So they just graduate, walk away with a degree card without any skill, with 99% marks out of 100 or 9 CGP on the scale of 10. Just they mug up the content and reproduce in the answer books. Those skill sets are, those kind of students are no longer required in the market. And therefore, institutions need to think beyond in order to sustain in the competitions, because there are many private organizations, many small courses are coming up in the market, diploma, and many options are available. Why student will choose your college if there is no any benefit to the student? There's no job, no any kind of learning that can help student become a good entrepreneur. Then they will invest time and money in some other short-term courses, diploma courses, ITI, or other similar, where they learn some skill and will get immediately some employment. And therefore, it's very relevant for institutions. And of course, as Vikasit Bharat says, that more and more a skill component to be embedded into the academic processes. So it is very relevant to have an action plan where the product development is there. So how it can be done, how component is very important. So campus-wise student, actually the word campus-wise here, this presentation was for some other activity use. So campus-wise word. What I am trying to tell you here is the principal of the college or head of the department and senior professors need to ensure that regularly there are workshops conducted, training programs are conducted for students right from first year. 10+2 student enter into undergraduate should be exposed to design thinking and innovation kind of workshops. So student will start thinking differently, problems, ideation, testing, prototype. So the different kind of culture will be set up in the institution, and then thinking will change. The student will not merely sit in the classroom and then focus on question paper based assessment, but the student will then think of doing projects. So that is one aspect. Campus wise idea competition, it is a very much essential for universities and institutions to hold at least once in a semester idea competition, where the students are invited to present ideas before. So confidently they present, they listen to other people, listen to the industry people who have come for inauguration functions and valedictories, and then they get inspired, and that is how they learn beyond the classroom. Mentor identification, I think already mentioned, within the institution mentors are needed. Industry relation MOU, which is missing in at least many non-professional institutions, engineering institutions, pharmacy, these professional institutions, they generally try industry connect through MOUs for syllabus enhancement, campus interviews, and all those things. But otherwise, I have noticed while working here as a dean of faculty of science and technology that most non-professional programs, traditional programs, do not engage in any industry MOU, and therefore there is no any kind of training from the industry, no lectures, no expert lectures, and there's no learning beyond classroom. So this is very important to identify mentors within industry, within the institutions, that is needed to create a good learning environment for the student. I think I already told you about prototype development, maker space. Every institution need to have a maker space, and this is done. I told all about how the a product development can be achieved in one of my previous slides. So I'll just break here. For this particular aspect, which I have mentioned, pre-incubation product development, is there any kind of specific question which has come to your mind, or what are the practices in your institution as far as product development is concerned? If I can learn, then other participants can also get benefited. Is there any some teacher who can type into the chat window that what kind of culture your institution is having, where your focus, your vision statement focuses on product development, IPR, venture development, and you're thinking beyond the current practices. because see, there are many institutions in our country. If on the scale of 100, 80 institutions fail to have this concept of research, product development, venture development, startup, incubation, whereas only handful, 20% institutions like IITs, NITs, centrally funded institutions, IIMs, and other similar private institutions, their focus has changed long back. They have gone beyond just offering the education. They are in research, innovation, incubation, industry linkages, internalizations. Regularly, they hold online meeting of students and alumni, where senior alumni give a lot of guidance to the junior students about their career and other aspects. So this is something which is missing in many institutions. And if you are listening and you are serious type of people with me, then perhaps you can push this culture in your institution, and you will notice that the learning experience of students has been changing, and you are becoming a very preferred institution among the ambitious students. Okay, fine. So I think I have only two slides left. And my cutoff time is, I suppose, 4:45, but I'll just open it for question and answer at least 20 minutes. And I want people to speak out. Okay, I think there are certain good comments from some participants, and I am also very happy that teachers have, professors have appreciated this small presentation. Yes, now there's a time for I think education research. Still it is there. I'll just finish this slide within 10 minutes. There are 4 points I have written, and see, this presentation is what has come to my mind. I have just typed here. Action plan for students for research publications. See, very important. I just mentioned that the teacher is a very important element of education institution. Okay, and if the teacher is very obsessed with vision to ensure that every student walking out of his or her institution should carry some kind of employment letter or should be a venture. That means the institution has set up a vision that no single student will walk out of the institution without offer letter, or no single student will walk out of the institution without a venture. If this is a vision statement, then this is good idea. To have extensive training for the teachers, where teacher is told about how to do internal evaluation through simple projects. So see, in many universities and colleges, 50% assessment for any subject, any course is internal. So in this internal assessment, the students may be given simple assignments. For example, if a student is from economics, doing BA economics, a BA economics student can be given a group of students, maybe, for example, an internal assessment is there. A teacher is teaching fundamentals of economics to the first year BA economics students, and then 50 marks are assigned to internal assessment and 50 marks for paper and pen examination at the end of semester as a final examination. In that case, the teacher can design very good projects for a group of students, a guided research here, where entire knowledge of teacher is utilized to design a research assignment which suits very well to undergraduate student. And then students or maybe entire class can be involved for focusing on one research assignment. An entire research assignment is broken down into 10 pieces, and every student is given one, or 5 students or 4 students are given one particular part of that small project. And all the data is collected from all the students, and then that teacher can analyze the data and prepare a very good publication. So my experience suggests that I have done this exercise where engineering project is broken down into several small part, because I was dealing with 60 students, for example. I formed some 12-15 groups of 5 students each, and every group was given a small assignment which is a part of big project, and then combining all the project produced very good research paper for me, and I think it is online on the Google Scholar, so you can find it there. Just it was done by second year group of engineering students, 60 students, but then that paper is in my name. So translating internal assessment of a student, and see here, you design a project which will compel the students to think critically. So the critical thinking, if you just someone asked me the question critical thinking, and if I ask you a question that what are the 6 levels of learning, can someone type here what are the different levels of learning according to Bloom's taxonomy? I give you 30 seconds fast. What are the different levels of learning according to Bloom's taxonomy? I'll come to this question, but I was referring to a Bloom's taxonomy. I think you should be knowing, if you are doing in education research, perhaps, that remember, understand, application, analysis, evaluation, and the design. So there are 6 levels of learning. So here, a teacher can design very good, yes, actually there are 6 levels of learning I just mentioned. Understanding, yeah, you have done it. So 6 levels of evaluation and then design. Perfect. So here the teacher can design a very good project, and yes, perfect. So there are I mean, every teacher can simply come out with very good research assignment, and that research assignment can be spread across the 60 students, and then all the higher levels of learning are possible through proper assessment. So both things are achieved. See, teacher is doing a research paper, and the scholars are undergraduate students of BA first year, and at the same time teacher is ensuring that learning is taking place which is in line with the, yes, which is in line with the last 4 levels. See, remembering and understanding is a forbidden, it's a very lowest level of learning. So your research problem which you have given to the students should involve application, analysis, evaluation, and creating, right? So such a research assignment should be given, and that will help teacher produce a very good. Yeah, I see the same slide. I'm see course teacher to design continuous comprehensive assessment evaluation through simple project leading to data collection, data analysis, and publication. So Power sir mentioned slides are not changed, but sir, I am at point number 1 only, where I am trying to convince you that you please try to have a project-based learning for students as a part of internal assessment, but the collective efforts of all students will help you prepare a very good research article where data is with you, analysis is done by you, and publication paper is written. Even you can ask students to submit a report, and that should help you to prepare a very good appealing paper. This is action plan for students for research publications actually. But here the first point corresponds to how teacher can utilize the expertise of students to have his own publication. Rubrics, I told you the rubrics, the teachers need to design a very good rubric. Here the critical thinking can be ascertained by proper design of rubrics. Okay. And even see the students have done small data collection, and that small data collection and data analysis can be taught to the students. Sometimes students can even be taught about the statistical tools, SPSS, and how the statistically analyze the results, and all those things can be taught to the students as a part of internal assessment, and they can even qualify to submit a paper in Q3, Q4, or simple Scopus kind of journal papers, which are very lower end journal papers, but which of course does not require any article processing charges. I am completely against article processing charges. Meta-analysis, this is very important. I think participants must be knowing the term called meta-analysis, and teacher can give students a small project as a part of internal assessment only, but that project may involve meta-analysis. Lot of data is already available, published in the journal. What teacher can do, teacher can download suppose 10 to 15 good journal papers in the same area. Exactly. And a teacher need to take an effort to identify closely related papers addressing some common problem, and then these papers can be handed over to the students, and students do a meta-analysis. You know the term meta-analysis, where the student cross-check the result of the published work, and then they come out with some review paper, and then it can be a small review paper by students. See, why undergraduate should publish a paper? I'll tell you. Sometimes, see, you never know, your students may aspire to go for higher studies in a very premier institution, right, where the student may get some teaching assistantship. I have an experience where students studying in engineering got into foreign university, but during engineering studies, I helped him publish 3 papers in good journal. And with that research credentials, with those research credentials, the student got good research assistantship in foreign university, which helped to make a payment of fees and sustain the other expenses. So undergraduate research is therefore important for maybe teaching assistantship. And the profile of the student, suppose a BCom student does 2 to 3 good papers and go to the bank and says that I have done 3 4 research studies for different banks, then the profile of such a student will be much better than ordinary student just carrying the grade card or mark sheet. So having help students to do undergraduate research is essential, and teacher can do it. Last point is, of course, teachers need to prepare small session for UG, PG, PhD students under him or her, writing academic research, publication, something like that. Of course, but a lot of YouTube videos are available, and those videos can be handed over either to the students, or maybe small half-day workshop to the students can help them become a good researcher, or I mean they can write some small articles. So this is an action plan for research students, actually not research students, undergraduate, PG and PhD also. And this is the last slide, probably I'll be finishing by very early. I just mentioned, but meanwhile, if you have any question, you please keep posting. I have kept my chat window open because yes, I think, sir, one of my student published 3 papers in BA honors economics under my mentorship and got 100% fellowship. Yes, see, this is a very successful success story before all the participants, and congratulations to sir that your efforts help him to get into world-class university and with a fellowship. See, there's a very great case study we have on the screen, if you can check. And I think every teacher here need to mimic this case study. I mean, try to see to it that you also engage yourself. See, BA economics, the undergraduate student produced 3 good papers and good fellows. So this is very good. I'm very happy that we have got a participant who are already, engaged in this kind of activities and helping students for seeking good fellowship and all this. So I appeal to every participant that let us all see to it that our students are not just graduates, but they become a researcher by the time they walks out of the institution as a graduate. Of course, with master's degree, they carry some research aptitude, but now it is a time that our undergraduate need to be properly mentored from research perspective as well. Good. So academic research writing is a slide of the title, but I'm not going to teach to the participants that how should you write a research paper. This is already very old topic now, and there are, I think, several YouTube videos you can always see, and then you will educate yourself about how to write your different components of a research paper, right from your abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, and how results are to be written, and then how discussion part has to be written, so that the implication of research, your research result can be presented there, and how the concluding remarks, future research. So all the elements of typical research paper are to be properly written. And now these days AI tool makes it challenging, and opportunities are there, but challenges are also there, because you should not submit something which comes under the plagiarism. So this you can learn, and that is not a subject matter here, that uh, how to write research paper, how to write research proposal, how to write a report to seek the consultancy from the other entities. So all these things are very well documented and available freely in the public domain. I am just bridging the gap in between. That's something which perhaps connect your expertise with the knowledge. There are certain gaps possible. For example, only journals from ONOS. So I think by now you know that there's called ONOS, One Nation, One Subscription. How many of you, I don't know. You type ONOS, and then see, this is the first. I'm just demonstrating. I think 90% of you should be knowing this website. This is the website. See, the question many times people ask me that where to publish, sir, where to publish, how to know whether the journal is good quality journal or average or some other. There are several names given to journal. My simple straightforward answer is go to this website, click to the publishers, okay, and see, you will find 30, probably 30 or 31 publishers. You can pick up any journal here, any. Okay, you can pick up any journal, and see, these are not journals, these are publishers basically. And I think here, if it is visible, for example, I'll just go through here. Elsewhere, Science Direct journals. 2,389 journals are available here. Okay, and these journals are available from all sectors, all in the sense, you maybe from science, or maybe from humanities, maybe from economics, environment, medical science, pharmacy. All journals are available here. Emerald, 311 papers are there. Maybe a Sage publisher, 1,097. Springer Nature, 2,400. And Taylor and Francis is a very good publisher with a 2,500. So I suggest all the participants to focus on, depending upon your area, identify any publisher, but what are the common publishers which are very popular. You can note down, there's a here, American Society journals are there here, American Society. These are American Society publishers are very standard. You can pick up, depending if you are for mathematics, go to the American Mathematical Society. Your physics, you can go here. Your society for microbiology, you can go here. That's you are civil engineering person, go to American Society of Civil Engineer. If you're mechanical engineer, go here, mechanical engineering. Then I'll directly take you to, for example, elsewhere. Good. Emerald, excellent database. IEEE, if you're from electrical engineering, IEEE, fantastic. Yeah, then Institute of Physics is fine. Sage is a very common, excellent publisher. Pick up any journal. Springer and Taylor Francis already I mentioned. And finally, I mentioned 1 minute. Hello. So yes, I was referring to this database, Unveiling. So that is how this is small, demonstration of how you can choose 1 minute, a journal. So hope this is clear to you that my student have got MSME with 3 legal guidance and their innovation idea. Total support setups also. Oh, very good. So we have very strong people participating in this session with a great credentials built. So actually, we should learn from Dr. Ruby, roll number 66, where you can see a lot of work is done. And I congratulate to Dr. Ruby here for such a strong, credentials built and helping so many students. Yes. So I think I have done with the first point, only journals from ONOS. So the idea is only publish in any journal which comes under ONOS publisher. Literature review, writing, research paper writing. I think I told you I'm not going to write, discuss here about research writing as such, which you are very well aware of. Use of Mendeley, that will discuss, and education research. This is left something. I'll come to this also. Literature review. One more thing is that how many of you have used Google Scholar search engine extensively? Google Scholar, you just type there so that I can decide whether to spend time here or not. Google Scholar search engine is very powerful search engine, and it should help you for literature review, right? So then I can just, because I mentioned that most of the beginners, generally need this, what I say, idea of, so where is that? So here, Scholar search engine is very good. This is just 2 minutes demonstration, just for the sake of completeness, right? Now here, this is a very good dashboard, or this I would say advanced search, particularly advanced search. So advanced search is a good, what I can say, platform available for the beginners particularly, and everyone, of course, for students, beginners. So if you have anything, I just mentioned that pre-incubation. So pre-incubation, or maybe project-based learning. See, the project-based learning, we will discuss project-based learning in education research, is extensively used. So if you are teaching something to the students, you can use this innovative method of teaching learning. Actually, it is not innovative, it is very old now. People are experimenting with PBL. So, and then here you can see exact phrase, and then here you choose the title. In the title only this word should exist. And here you can type, see, on the screen you can see the 6 popular publishers name. By default it appears, because I generally search my all articles only in these journals. So therefore now the default contains Springer, elsewhere, Willy, IEEE transactions, elsewhere and says, and I've got Taylor Francis somewhere. So you can just suppose elsewhere and run this, and you will notice that there are 207 research articles under elsewhere where the title contains project-based learning. So suppose you are working on a project-based learning review paper. So you got these 207 papers. You can simply download through your institution prescription if you have available, or you can network with other people and ask them to send you these papers if you don't have an access, because these are all subscription based journals, right? So here a good literature review paper you can start with as simple as writing a literature paper. Okay. Or if you are teaching to students some kind of economics related topics, okay, and you have some, I mean, this is a random word I have picked up, and you want that you would like to give a project to the students which involves economics. So you can just immediately search the paper, although it appears 12,900, but by putting more keywords, okay, by putting more keywords here as an exact phrase, that you are expert. Basically, you are teaching some subject, so you are expert. You know the right keyword. You just feed the keyword and you reduce the number of publications to very few, very focused literature review in that case. And those papers you can give to the students, and your students can do meta-analysis or they can help you prepare a review paper. So this is the way the Google Scholar search engine can be extensively used. What you learn here is your search engine provides you different fields like all the words, exact phrase, which journal, and all those things. So by practice, you will have a command over Google search engine, Google Scholar search engine, and that should help you to optimize your search. Because if you go simply with a Google, and you will get n number of lakhs of pages where the word economics is involved. You cannot check all the lakhs of pages, not lakhs of pages, hundreds of pages you may get, and that cannot help you, because the general Google search engine is not focused on scholarly publications. So this is one point I wanted to talk to you as a part of this presentation, where I encourage the beginners particularly to use these tools, IT tools extensively. That is one thing. Then writing review paper. See, I just covered this literature review through Google Scholar search engine. Then writing research paper. So I am not talking about anything about writing research paper, because you people are expert already. You can always do it or use some other. It requires at least 1 hour of separate discussion about how to write research paper very effectively, so that your reviewer will not give you rejection, or at least you will get minor revision. But I repeat at this stage that you should not submit your article. You should not submit your article in any journal other than these 30 publishers. There is no concept of UGC care. So remove from your mind, there is something called UGC care that does not exist now. What exists is one nation, one subscription kind of journals. And these 30 publishers, again, I'm repeating, these are the publishers, and every publisher has got handful number of journals, and these journals are from you. Elsewhere is the best. It covers everything. Springer covers everything. Sage covers everything. You may be from any field, doesn't matter. You will find at least one journal which will be in a subscription mode. So remember the term called subscription mode. Even if you go to elsewhere or Springer or a Taylor Francis, you will notice that there are two modes of submission. One is called open access mode, other is called subscription mode. If you choose open access, it will ask you article processing charge, even elsewhere also. You have to prefer subscription mode. That means you don't want to pay a single money as a part of article processing charge. So this is the only point I can make here about the journals. Use of Mendeley. I don't know how many of you, because see, there are many, see, when you write a research paper, right, you write a research paper in simple Word document, right? And in Word document, while you write a paper, uh, uh, just in that case, you need to have, you to show, say that you have got yes, you have to see the references. See here, the reference manager is there. Actually, I have not installed here Mendeley, but a small video on YouTube should help you how to install a Mendeley as a reference manager. See, this is simply for reference manager. Again, why to use the reference manager? I think at this stage, you all participants have a fairly good idea that why should you use a reference manager? Because when you write an article, at least you will have 20 to 25 number of, even more than 25 number of good quality papers cited. So your article will not be accepted unless you have a handful number of articles cited, not cited for the sake of citation, but those articles you have included because they constitute a part of your literature review, they constitute a part of your methodology section, they constitute a part of your discussion section, if not result section. So at least in three sections, that is the introduction section, methodology section, and result maybe discussion section, at least in three sections, ample number of old articles are to be cited, which indicates, which gives idea to the reviewer that yes, you have done research by considering the existing body of the research, right? It gives a confidence to the reviewer that you are a seasoned researcher, and you know how to develop or create a knowledge considering the existing body of the knowledge. So sometimes I see people use in a reference some very low profile journals, and I discourage you to publish in conferences, national seminar conference. These are of no use. I discourage you to participate in national conference, seminars, international. Of course, if you find that conference is worth, I mean, there are good people going to participate and the scope to listen to them, then surely you can invest money and time to go to seminars and national and international conferences if it is worth. But if it is just for the sake of some kind of certification, I discourage. It is of no use. But I rather encourage every participant, particularly the beginner, other people holding PhD degrees, they have a PhD scholars working under them, and they are very well acquainted with what I'm saying. But the beginners are expected to, maximum try in the refereed journals, the journals I mentioned, which comes under one nation, one subscription scheme. And there, while you write a paper, you will require reference manager. There are many reference managers perhaps, but I like Mendeley because it's very easy to handle, and it creates your own library, and your citation work becomes very easy and very flexible. You can change citations, renumber, whatever you want to do. Your life become very easy while you write your research article. So this is about these things. And education research, this is the last point of my today's presentation, and I will take at least 10 minutes to explain, and then I'll invite you for discussion only, or maybe some questions, and you contribute rather. I think if you contribute, the other people will learn, your experience will be useful to me as well as to other participants as well. So education research, how can you do education research? In fact, this is a good opportunity, but teachers generally claim that we remain very busy with administrative work. Our institution give lot of work, so we don't find time to do research. I know it, this happens generally. But in spite of that, if someone would like to do strong strong desire is there, you can always find out time, Sundays, holidays, and you can balance your work life and do the research. That is possible, because I have gone through that phase and I know how to these things. So confidently I can make a statement that it is not your administrative work which is preventing you for publishing into good journal, but it is your time management perhaps is not permitting you to work around the research idea and come out with IPR or publication. But with here, education research is something where you can easily publish your at least educational research. For example, you are teaching, I think, any course. For example, I'm teaching a BA to the BA student, a course or subject. A name of the subject is Basics of Economics. Okay. Now, Basics of Economics course is to be taught by you in that semester. So you prepare a lesson plan. It is a practice, because in NBA or NAC, I don't know NAC, perhaps they do not go to that level. I mean, that depends on the reviewers. But if the NAC team or the NBA people, they can go to that level, that how the teacher has designed the lesson plan, whether the lesson plan is engaging lesson plan, how the different activities are planned by the teacher in the lecture room, whether the lecture was engaging or it was simply a PowerPoint presentation, one-way presentation where student learn. And there's a person called Richard Felder and Rebecca Maria. These Richard Felder and Rebecca Maria, you can note down this. They have done extensive education research, and according to the Richard Felder, if you go to the classroom and if you start teaching, after 10 minutes or even after 7 minutes, your student will get disconnected from you. So if you just keep bombarding one way, then they will listen to you only for 7 minutes to 10. This is research says. That means you don't expect your students are learning if you don't engage them, involve them, and this is a participative teaching learning process. Teaching will take place surely, because you are a teacher. Learning will not take place because they are learners. So it will be only teaching, it will not be a learning. So in order to ensure the learning is taking place, your lesson plan should have a breaks. It should not be monotonous. And mostly there are several methodologies proposed where how you can have an engaging delivery. One of the method is a project-based, I mean, flipped classroom strategy, or project-based learning, hybrid project-based learning. You just explore the literature about education research, where you can, for your course, you are teaching basics of economics. For your course, design a very different teaching plan, lesson plan, and cross-check with a Google Scholar. Do some literature review, how the basics of economics has been taught by other teachers in other universities effectively, what methodology was used to effectively teach the basics of economics. Do the literature review, then have your own innovation, because you are a teacher, you taught that course 2-3 times, you know how each topic can be better taught by different methods. Then in your lesson plan, design those methodologies, that how different topics in that course are delivered. This becomes your innovation. Deliver that course, make it very engaging, assess them, identify innovative assessment instruments, give them in projects, small sessions in the classroom, design classroom assessment test. There are ICT tools, Socrative or Kahoot and many, to ensure the classroom learning, right? And if you notice that your classroom is very appealing, learning is taking place, efficiency of knowledge transfer is very good, then do some analysis of the learning, conduct the test, conduct the sessions, do statistical analysis. You know how to statistically verify the hypothesis. The hypothesis was that by using this XYZ method of teaching your basics of economics, the student learning experience will be better. That was your hypothesis. Hypothesis has to be tested by using some methods of assessment. Do their course attainment calculations. You have already course outcomes defined. Develop a very good research paper and submit to Journal of Education. There are at least 50 Journal of Educations are available, different types of, with the different names, like assessment, effective assessment, effective teaching learning, innovative pedagogy. 50 type of journals are available. What you can do, write an article and submit, and they will appreciate your innovative way of teaching that course. You can do it for laboratory, seminar, whatever education course you have been given. So this, in this way, see, you are indirectly you are teaching as well as doing research, and you will have at least one paper per year in a referred journal. So you can claim, and your institution will get benefited, because they'll at least find something to be written in the proposal of NAC or in NIRF ranking. So the contribution of teacher is very important to enhance the visibility of the institution by having good grades through NAC or maybe NIRF, and then now people talk about QS ranking and many things. So all these different strategies can be used. I think I told you some strategies about, just to wind up, I told you about how pre-incubation center is very essential for nurturing the innovations of the students leading to startups. How the internal assessment by the teacher can produce good research papers. Then how research credentials can help student fetch the funds. How networking with the industries and private establishments is essential to bring some kind of research idea and research project through small. Doing consultancy, I did not touch upon to the consultancy, but every teacher has got some expertise. Identify a pockets where the consultancy may be extended. Again, networking is needed, visiting to the different places where some kind of activities are taking place, exhibitions, attending people. So there are a number of ways you can network and then enhance your capabilities, strengthen your relations, and then through those you can have opportunities for research activities, IPR activities, and so on. And finally, I took you through different kinds of journals, where to publish, why to publish, and finally the education research. So I think it's a 4:30, and it has been, I think, more than 2 hours, 2.5 hours I'm talking to you. So I stop here, and I hope a small discussion was different and must have helped you. And if you have some kind of questions, we will take up surely. Uh, if you can unmute, and if you, the organizer, permit the participants to speak something instead of typing in the chat window, which may not be convenient to the participants, then we can have a good interaction, and the contribution from participant can even help other participants. So Professor, thank you very much, and please ensure that the questions and answers session begins now. How to access my chat window? Here. No. Nice and valuable presentation. Nice present. Thank you. But I think this presentation was not complete, and I expect some questions, because those questions will be useful to, something I may speak about while answering those questions, which I did not mention, and that can add some value here. Perhaps I answer that question. Under NEP, we need to focus on critical thinking. So I think the professor who is attending, critical thinking is critical thinking. Perhaps it overlaps with the analysis as far as Bloom's taxonomy table is concerned. So ability to analyze, ability to think critically, these are very important attributes, and these attributes can be attained by having see, teacher is very important in the sense that the lesson plan should be such that it should help students to think critically. So when you are delivering a session to the students, it is very essential that your presentation or your delivery contains some questions which will compel students to think critically. So it is all about design of your lesson plan. And while you design lesson plan, you have to ask yourself that whether my lesson plan coincides with the last 4 levels of Bloom's taxonomy, whether I am having in my lesson plan which will help student apply the knowledge, whether my lesson plan includes something where student will think critically and analyze the problem, whether students learn how to break down big problem into small problem and then synthesize it again, the complete solution, whether my teaching plan or lesson plan rather includes content where there are situations where students deal with multiple solutions for the same problem. So decision taking ability of student can be enhanced here. Out of n number of solutions, which is the best solution which suits the given problem? So that is how the lesson plans are to be designed in general. And of course, very important, your lesson plan at the end should help students to work on the problem which you have posed. I generally appeal to the, I suggest to the students, teachers, that there's a time to upfront record your classes, because nowadays iPad is available, laptops are available. You can just record and put it on YouTube. You are not expected to go and teach into the classroom now. Put it all 40, 50 lectures on the YouTube and just give them. And in the classroom, you have to simply work on the projects, industry projects. They'll be working somewhere. Those case studies to be discussed here. I know some in affiliated model, the question paper is designed by someone else. So you have to see to it that they should be able to answer the question. So that knowledge you can put up on YouTube by recording your lectures. And then beyond classroom, you have to take care in the classroom where both things can be achieved. Their employability can be enhanced and they should be able to perform in the exams also. Because exams, university controlled system, there's no guarantee that question papers will coincide with the last 4 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. There are certain questions I see in the question paper. Write a short note. Is this question relevant these days? No. There's nothing like they should not remember, memorize, and answer. The questions should compel the students so that he or she will think critically. So question paper design is a separate workshop needed. And for that purpose, I generally like that college should go for autonomy. University departments can become autonomous. College can become autonomous. So you have to talk to your management and ensure that you are becoming autonomous. So once you are autonomous, the entire control is with you about delivery and assessment. So I think I have talked a lot and might be useful. If I can get some questions from your side. So if no questions, then the organizers suggest. It's very good that the feedback seems to be good.
Sir, NEP logic relies heavily on continuous internal assessment through papers to measure critical. However, in 26, take-home assignment can be solved by. See, I mentioned just now that in internal assessment, there should not be any written component. Assignment does not mean that you are given some paper, this one. I mean, do not give them any assignment where they are just expected to write the answer. They will just copy and paste, because now we are living in the era when AI is doing everything. So your questions will not help them. Here, giving them clearly some project work where they will actually work on the real time problems. They'll collect the data and come. For example, if the student is studying BSc and his group of students are in the village, ask them to go to farmers, collect the data, come back. Community engagement type of assignment. Go to the nearby municipality, collect the data. Go to the hospital, collect the data, analyze the. For example, students are from pharmacy, they'll go to 3-4 hospitals, collect the data, and they will exactly understand what is happening right now, what kind of diseases are active currently, which kind of medicines are working. So they will come and presentation should be a focus in the internal assessment, and internal assessment should not have a paper and pen. So if home assignment are not written assignments, NEP logic relies heavily. No, NEP logic is not relying on rely on assignment through papers. No, NEP does not say that assignment through paper. NEP says that it should be a kind of engaging delivery. So assessment has to be engaging, where students will come out with presentation, present their presentation before teachers. Their findings should be presented. So presentation skills will improve. Teamwork, program outcomes, where what is expected from the students. Students should be able to work in team. They should be able to communicate effectively. They should complement. All these things are possible through continuous internal assessment, where they are working on activity and they're presenting. So this kind of internal assessment is needed, and not paper and pen. What is Q1 and Q2 type journal? See, these are categories of journals: quality 1, quality 2. So just like you can say Q1 and Q2 are top quality journals, Q3, Q4 are low grade journals. Like that, there are 4 kind of categories they have created. So you just check it and you will understand. Sir, explain. Good. So I think we are coming to the end of this session. I request organizers to acknowledge the feedbacks of every individual, and we can then conclude the session. काय झालं, परत आलं? एक मिनिट सर आहेत का? हा सर, सेशन कन्क्लूड झालेलं आहे. मला वाटते की फारसे क्वेश्चन आन्सर्स नाही आहेत. हा, तुमचे जे होस्ट असतील त्यांना जरा कन्क्लूड करायला सांगता.
मी करतो.
ओके ओके.
So, on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, my special thanks to Dr. HD Jadhav sir for sparing his valuable time and giving us insightful lecture on the topic. So I'm really thankful to you, sir. And so with the permission of the resource person, I declare that this technical session is over. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.